George's skin color is a characteristic he inherited from his parents. However, it can also be caused by the environment. The presence of dimples is a characteristic George inherited from his parents. Eye color is an inherited characteristic. Jenny obtained some seeds that were produced by pollinating 2 flowers and placed them in a pot of soil. When the seeds grew into adult plants, she obtained flowers such as the one shown below. Which 2 flowers are likely to have produced the seeds? Since the offspring has red, blue, and yellow petals, the colors should be found on the parent plants. If a flower from tree P is pollinated by a flower from tree Q of the same species, which of the following is or are likely to be the fruits produced? A. Fruit with rough skin, small seeds, and thick flesh. B. Fruit with rough skin, large seeds, and thick flesh. C. Fruit with smooth skin, small seeds, and thick flesh. D. Fruit with smooth skin, large seeds, and thick flesh. The characteristics are passed on from the parent trees to their offspring. Which of the following correctly compare the sexual reproduction in flowering plants and humans? The male reproductive parts for flowering plants are the anther and filament. The female reproductive parts for flowering plants are the stigma, style, and ovary. For pupils are asked to describe to their classmates the development of a baby in the mother's body. The developing baby draws nutrients from the mother's blood through the umbilical cord. The baby is born about 9 months after fertilization. The fertilized egg divides to form more cells. It attaches itself to the wall of the mother's womb. As the baby develops inside the mother's womb, the mother's abdomen gets bigger. The diagram below shows the female reproductive system of a human. What will happen if a cut is made at Y, as shown on the diagram above? Sperms will not be able to reach the eggs produced by the right ovary. Sperms will still be able to reach the eggs produced by the left ovary. Sperms are still able to reach the eggs produced by the left ovary, and the female is still able to get pregnant. A fertilized egg cell develops into a baby in a womb. The developing baby obtains nutrients from the mother's blood through the umbilical cord. A vagina is a female reproductive organ. Ovaries produce eggs. Family members often share similarities in their characteristics. These characteristics are controlled by structures called genes found in the person. Which of the following can affect the development of characteristics in a person? Diet, parents' genes, environmental factors. The colors of eyes, hair, and skin are characteristics. The diagram below shows the male and female reproductive cells in humans. Which of the following statements are true? The egg is produced by a female and the sperms are produced by a male. Only one sperm will fuse with the egg. Usually many sperms will reach the egg, but only one sperm can fertilize the egg. Fertilization in humans takes place inside an adult female's body. Which one of the following tools can we use to view a human sperm and a human egg? A microscope. A human sperm and a human egg are microscopic and cannot be seen with our naked eyes. Thus, we can view them only through a microscope. Which one of the following will result in a fertilized egg? A sperm fusing with an egg. A sperm should fuse with an egg for fertilization to take place. Charlie wants to examine the right thumbprints of his family members. He asks his parents, brother, and sister to place their thumbprints together with his thumbprint on a piece of paper. How many different thumbprints will Charlie get? 5 different thumbprints. Give a reason for your answer in A. There are 5 different people and the thumbprint of each person is unique. Give an example to explain how thumbprints can be useful. Thumbprints can be used to identify a person. The police may use thumbprints to identify possible suspects when investigating a crime scene. The diagram below shows the male reproductive system of a human. A cut is made at D. State how it affects the flow of sperms from the testis to the penis. With a cut made at D, the sperms from the left testis are unable to flow to the penis. Will the male still be able to reproduce? Explain why. Yes. Sperms produced by the right testis are still able to flow to the penis. The following statements describe the steps in the fertilization of an egg in a female human. Sperms are transferred to the vagina through the penis. Sperms travel in the female's body to meet the egg. A sperm fuses with the egg. The fertilized egg develops into a ball of cells. It attaches itself to the wall of the womb. The baby develops in the womb and organs begin to form. The following diagram shows 2 brothers and a sister. Identify 2 characteristics that are common among the 3 siblings. Ability to roll the tongue and dimples on the cheeks. List 2 characteristics that both their parents have. Explain your answer. Ability to roll the tongue and dimples on the cheeks. Since these 2 characteristics are common in all the children, both parents have the characteristics. The 2 processes below show how twins can be formed. In process A, The fertilized egg divides into two separate parts, and each part develops independently into a baby. In process B, two eggs are released from the ovaries, and each egg is fertilized by a sperm. A. Identical twins look alike, and they have the same characteristics. Which process, A or B, produces identical twins? Explain your answer. Process A. The babies are from the same fertilized egg that had split into two. B. Fraternal twins are not identical. They do not look alike. Which process, A or B, produces fraternal twins? Explain your answer. Process B. The babies are from two different eggs fertilized by two different sperms. Which of the following processes occurs when a sperm fuses with an egg? Fertilization. The fusion of a sperm with an egg is known as fertilization. It may be internal or external. Which of the following statements best describes a human fetus? It does not breathe through the nostrils. The fetus breathes through the placenta attached to the mother. Oxygen is transported through the mother's blood to the baby, and carbon dioxide is transported from the BA.BY to the mother to be removed as waste. Reproduction will prevent animals from becoming extinct. In some animals, reproduction involves only one parent. All living things can reproduce. Eggs are always produced by the female, not the male. Which of the following produces the male and female reproductive cells in humans? The male sex cells known as sperms are produced in the testes. Ovaries produce the female sex cells called ova, eggs. Usually, ovaries produce only one egg each month. Sperms are produced in the testes. Sperms are the male sex cells and are produced in the testes. Fertilization cannot take place without the sperm. Fertilization occurs when the sperm fuses with the egg to form a fertilized egg. In which part of the female reproductive system does fertilization occur? Fallopian tube. The egg is released from an ovary into a fallopian tube. The egg is slowly propelled towards the uterus. If sperms are present, one of the sperms will then penetrate the egg while it is still in the upper part of the fallopian tube. Which of the following is not part of the female reproductive system? Sperm. The sperm is part of the male reproductive system. When an egg cell and a sperm cell fuse, an embryo is formed. After fertilization, the zygote develops to form an embryo. A fetus receives nutrients, water, oxygen, antibodies through the umbilical cord. Aside from nutrients, water, and oxygen, the mother also passes some of her immunity to diseases to her child. Draw a diagram of a sperm, labeling its head and tail. Draw and label a diagram of the female reproductive system. Name the organ where eggs are produced. Ovary. Describe how the fertilization process takes place in humans. During sexual intercourse, sperms are released by the male into the body of the female. The sperms swim towards the egg and surround the egg. However, only one sperm can pass through the egg membrane and enter the egg. The nucleus of the sperm fuses with that of the egg to form a new cell known as zygote. Define each of the following terms. Fertilization, the fusion of the male and female sex cells to create a zygote/embryo. Heredity, the process where genetic traits are passed down from one generation to the next. Why do organisms reproduce? Organisms reproduce to ensure the continuity of their own kind. State two differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves both the male and female parents, whereas asexual reproduction involves only one parent. In sexual reproduction, the offspring produced are not identical to the parents, but those produced during asexual reproduction are completely identical to the parents. Genetic information is passed on from parents to their offspring as genes. Explanation. Genetic information is passed on from parents to their offspring as genes. Living things reproduce to ensure continuity of its kind. Explanation. Living things reproduce to ensure continuity of its kind. The table below shows some of the characteristics of Gabriel's parents and himself. Based on the table, how many characteristics did Gabriel inherit from his parents? Earlobe and eyelid. Explanation. Gabriel inherit his attached earlobe from his mother and his single eyelid from his father.
Both the ovary of the plant and the ovaries of the female human produce eggs. Explanation. Both the ovary of the plant and the ovaries of the female human produce egg cells. The diagrams below show the reproductive systems of a flower, a male human and a female human. Which of the following parts produces the male reproductive cells? Explanation. D. Testes, and E. Anthers, produce the male reproductive cells. The following statements comparing the female reproductive systems in a plant and a human are true. The ovary in plants, unlike the human, turns into a fruit after fertilization. The ovary of both the plant and the human female produce eggs. Fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube for humans. Only the human have two ovaries. Plants have one ovary. Which of the following body systems work together with the reproductive system in humans for the growth and birth of the baby? Muscular system, respiratory system, skeletal system, digestive system. Explanation. All the systems in the body work together with the reproductive system in humans for the growth and birth of the baby. Which part of the female reproductive system has the same function as the stigma of the flower? Vagina. Explanation. The stigma of the flower and the vagina of the female human are where the male reproductive cells are first received. Which of the following correctly explains why having two testes in the human male reproductive system is an advantage for the reproduction process? It ensures that the human male is able to produce enough sperms for the continuity of its kind. Explanation. It ensures that the human male is able to produce enough sperms for the continuity of its kind, even if one of the testes is unable to function. The diagram shows the male reproductive system of a human. Due to health reasons, a man undergoes a procedure to remove part Y. Which of the following statements is/are true after the removal of part Y?
The man is still able to produce sperms.
Explanation. The man will still be able to have any offsprings. The sperms can travel from the testis to the penis. The sperm will be able to fuse with the egg. Mr. Lee has natural black eyes and double eyelids, while Mrs. Lee has natural brown eyes and single eyelids. The information below shows the characteristics of Mr. Lee's family. Oh, I'm Mr. and Mrs. Lee have 2 daughters and 1 son. Oh, the son inherited his mother's single eyelids. Oh, one of the daughters inherited her mother's natural eye color. Oh, the other daughter inherited her father's double eyelids. Oh, none of the children has exactly the same hair and face characteristics as either their father or mother. Which of the following shows the characteristics of the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Lee, who has the same natural eye color as the son, double eyelids, natural brown eyes? Explanation. The son has single eyelids and natural black eyes. The daughter who has natural black eyes would have double eyelids. The table shows some physical features of Mr. Ho and his wife, Mrs. Ho. They have 4 children with the following physical features. Which of the following statements is/are true? Carl could be adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Ho. Julian did not inherit any physical features from his father. Explanation. Lola inherited 2 physical features, eye color and ability to roll tongue, from Mrs. Ho. Ivan is not the only child who inherited Mr. Ho's physical features. E.g. Lola also did not have dimples like Mr. Ho. Carl could be adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Ho, as he did not have the ability to roll his tongue, unlike Mr. and Mrs. Ho. The diagram below shows Alice's family tree. The colored squares/circles represent those with disorder X. Which of the following information can be obtained from Alice's family tree? Explanation. The number of Alice's family members with disorder X, 5. The number of siblings Alice's mother has, 2. If Alice is a carrier of the gene for disorder X, yes. From whom did Alice receive the genes for disorder X? From both her father and mother. Based on the family tree, there are 2 more females than males in the family who do not have freckles. Explanation. A total 4 members in the family have freckles.
Which part of the female reproductive system has the same function as the stigma of the flower? Vagina. Explanation. The stigma of the flower and the vagina of the female human are where the male reproductive cells are first received. The diagrams below show the reproductive systems of a flower, a male human and a female human. Which of the following parts does not produce reproductive cells? Explanation. A. Womb, C. Penis, and G. Stigma do not produce reproductive cells. Which of the following statements comparing the female reproductive systems in a plant and a human are true? The ovary in plants, unlike the human, turns into a fruit after fertilization. The ovary of both the plant and the human female produce eggs. Explanation. The diagram shows the female reproductive system. The fallopian tubes are clipped at positions P and Q during a surgery. Explanation. Fertilization cannot take place, as the egg will not be able to fuse with the sperm. The sperm cells entering W will not die. The male reproductive cells can reach the fallopian tubes of the female reproductive system before the tubes were clipped. The female will still be able to produce eggs.
The diagram below shows 2 puppies and their parents. Why do the puppies look like their parents? Genetic information was passed from the mother in an egg. B. Genetic information was passed from the father in a sperm. C. Genetic information was passed from the mother in her milk. D. Genetic information was passed from the mother in the blood. Table below shows some physical characteristics of Mr. and Mrs. Ben and their 4 children. A tick, square root, shows the presence of the characteristics. Based on the information above, which of the following statements is/are definitely correct? Cindy and Ellie are a pair of twins. B. Billy and Alex inherited the short hair from Mr. Ben. C. Billy did not inherit any physical characteristics from Mrs. Ben. D. Cindy and Ellie each inherited more than two physical characteristics. From Mrs. Ben. The table below shows some of the characteristics of Jack's parents. Based only on the information in the table, which of the following traits can Jack inherit directly from his parents? A. Short hair. B. Double eyelid. C. Detached earlobe. Explanation. Hair length can be altered. Both parents have single eyelids, so he is very likely to have inherited single eyelids. The table below shows some physical characteristics of both father and mother in a family. It is given that Alan inherited one characteristic from each of his parents, while Betty only inherited one characteristic from her father. Which traits are able to be passed down from one generation to another? Explanation. Alan must have inherited characteristic C from his mother, while Betty must have inherited characteristic from the father.
Study John's family tree below. Francis has double eyelids. Explain why Francis has double eyelids. Both of Francis' parents had double eyelids, which was passed down to her. Study the diagram of the human reproductive system below. Which one of the following occurs at X? Release of eggs. Fallopian tubes, along which egg cells travel. Which of the following statements is/are true after the fallopian tubes are clipped at positions P and Q during a surgery? Fertilization cannot take place in this reproductive system. The ovaries will produce eggs, which are the female reproductive cells. The male reproductive cells can only reach the female reproductive cell at the fallopian tubes. The diagram below shows some cells during a process that took place in the reproduction of a human. Other than controlling all the activities of the cell, state another function of part F. Part F carries the genetic information that could be passed from the parents to their young. The diagram below shows how the disease, hemophilia, is passed down in a family. Several observations were made about the inheritance of hemophilia. If both parents have hemophilia, then their children, regardless of gender, will have it too. If only the mother has hemophilia, her son will definitely have hemophilia too. If only the father has hemophilia, it is possible that his children may not have inherited it. Explanation. Hemophilia is a mostly inherited genetic disorder that impairs the body's ability to make blood clots, a process needed to stop bleeding. The table below shows how certain characteristics are classified. Suggests how the above characteristics are classified. The characteristics are classified based on whether they can be passed down. 2. Which group will you place eyelid type in? Group A. The diagram below shows a developing baby and the movement of blood in and out of the baby through the umbilical cord. Which of the following about the blood in blood vessels A and B is correct? A. Poor in oxygen. B. Rich in digested food. Explanation. Substances transported away from baby to the mother. B. Substances transported from the mother to the baby.
To prevent stray cats from reproducing in Singapore, they are sterilized before being set free. The testes are removed in a male cat and the ovary are removed in a female cat. A. What will happen to the number of the stray cats in Singapore? 6 months after most of them have been sterilized, the number of stray cats in Singapore will decrease. B. Explain your answer in A. Without the sperm and egg, fertilization will not take place.